Ok, buenos días, bro. ¿Cómo estás?
Buenos días, muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Todo bien, no me puedo quejar, bro. ¿Cuál es tu nombre? Porque aparece en TikTok como C Jizzle, pero ¿cuál es tu nombre?
Mi nombre es Chad. ¿Y tú?
Cha- Jalen. Me
Jalen.
llamo Jalen. Ajá,
Mucho
Jalen, ya.
gusto. Mucho gusto para
Mucho
conocer.
gusto, bro. ¿Y
Gracias.
cuánto tiempo llevas estudiando y hablando español?
Um, con consistencia, yo creo que, mm, creo, 6 años. Bueno,
¿Seis
quizás
años?
en Duolingo, pero desde hace 2 años, yo creo que con más consistencia yo he estudiado um, mucho más y muchas cosas diferentes también. Yo veía videos, escuchaba más música y
Ujú.
conversaciones y hablaba con gente también.
Ok, ¿y qué te hizo empezar a estudiar español? ¿Por qué
Um,
empezaste?
yo creo que um, desde maybe quizás middle school, yo
Ujú.
creo, y uno, I guess, quizás las mujeres también, y
Las
también
mujeres.
es la inspiración, pero
Okay.
también me gusta el sonido de la lengua también. Y
Okay.
he sido, yeah, he sido, how you say, I've always wanted to learn.
Okay. Bueno, está bien, bro.
Yeah, ¿y tú?
Y por lo que he visto en TikTok es que subes casi todos los días una lección del día.
Oh, yeah,
Eh,
sí.
ajá, ¿y de dónde sacas todas esas lecciones, bro? ¿Cómo lo haces?
Um, Well, yo creo que para ayudarme y para ayudar a otra gente también, y así que puedo practicar um, cosas diferentes que he aprendido, I guess,
Ujú,
en mi camino. Y
ujú,
porque yo siempre quiero aprender más y más porque quiero ser fluido en la lengua, así que like estudio o busco cosas diferentes y a veces pienso en inglés alguna cosa
ujú.
y entonces busco qué significa esa cosa en español también. And then, y so pues yo uso esas cosas por lecciones para ayudarme a ayudar a
Ah,
otras personas también o cosas he aprendido de gente también o
mm.
cualquiera.
Okay. So, a veces es que piensas en algo, pero en inglés estás pensando como, ¿cómo diría eso en español?
Sí,
Y lo buscas y lo
sí,
subes en TikTok.
sí,
Ah,
porque yo
okay.
creo, sí puedo, I mean, or tus pensamientos en tu
Ujú,
mente es en una lengua, o si puedes pensar una cosa en una lengua, entonces, tú puedes pensar la misma cosa en otra lengua, o tú
mm,
necesitas, porque es la manera que tú piensas, um, es I guess, va a ayudarte para aprender o es tu manera para expresarte. Yeah,
ujú,
yeah,
sí.
sí.
So, pero también es que haces las lecciones del día para hacerte responsable, para hold yourself accountable, ¿sí?
Ujú, sí.
¿Y lo haces todos los días o qué?
Sí, todos los días.
Oh, wow, pero eso es mucho. Eso es difícil. Pero ¿qué haces? ¿Qué haces cuando no quieres hacerlo?
Ah, a veces siento que no quiero hacerlo, pero um, yo creo es mi motivación, o se me da motivación. Así
Mm,
que,
okay.
porque nunca sabes cualquiera persona que está te viendo y así que, like, puedo ayudarles a otra gente
Ujú,
y de mí mismo también.
ujú. Sí, estoy de acuerdo, bro. ¿Y has viajado mucho? ¿Has salido del país?
Sí, ahora, así que, pues, yo he viajado, like Miami, hay
Ujú.
muchos cubanos para practicar, y también yo he viajado a Colombia, en Medellín, dos
A
veces.
Medellín.
Así que
¿Dos meses?
o dos veces.
Oh, dos veces. Oh,
Yeah.
ok, ok.
Lo siento.
¿Y te gustó o no?
Sí, sí, me encantó porque cada día tengo que o tuve que pensar en español y hablar en
Ujú,
español también. Y es buena práctica para mí. ¿Y
ujú.
tú?
Sí, ves que viví en Colombia por casi un
Oh,
año, sí,
ok.
sí, sí, pero estaba en Cali,
Oh, ok.
sí,
He escuchado ese lugar.
sí, bro. No, a mí me encantó, bro. El acento, la cultura, bro,
Yeah.
la comida, todo, bro. Sí, me encantó.
¿Y
Ujú.
has viajado a Cartagena?
No, nunca,
Oh, ok.
nunca. No, no, no he viajado a Medellín, Cartagena, no, nunca.
Oh,
Solo,
solo
solo
Cali.
Cali, bro. Sí, solo Cali.
Oh, ok. Mi primera vez tuve un vuelo o de conexión en Cartagena, así que solo estaba en el aeropuerto, pero yo creo que me gustaría viajar y explorar algún día.
¿Y
Y también
nunca has ido a
hay muchos
México?
morenos también por allá.
Ah, sí, claro, claro.
Yeah.
Sí, ¿y nunca has viajado a México?
Nah, quisiera, pero todavía no. Pero algún día y también quisiera viajar a Puerto Rico y
Mm,
quizás Dominica, República también.
ujú. Ok.
Y otros países también. Pero yo
Mm,
escucho mucha música de Puerto Rico. Like, me gusta Bad Bunny y Mike
Bad Bunny.
Towers. Yeah.
Ujú.
Like, y sus acentos me gustan mucho.
Sí, sí. Entonces, lo que has aprendido ha sido tú aprendiste mucho de casa, ¿no? Has viajado mucho.
Yeah, sí, nada, no mucho, no he viajado mucho, pero
Mm,
yo he conocido a mucha gente también y ellos me enseñaban muchas cosas también. So, yo
mm.
conozco mexicanos, um, sí, algunas personas de Perú, algunas personas de Colombia.
Ok, tú estás hablando mucho con personas en la vida
Sí,
real,
sí,
ok,
sí.
ok,
Ujú,
sí, eso es lo importante, bro.
sí.
Sí,
¿Y tú?
sí, es que, ok, mi amigo es de Cali. Tengo un amigo que es de Cali y me enseñó español,
Oh,
por eso viví en Cali. Mi esposa habla español, sus padres
okay.
hablan español, sí, mi
Oh,
barbero, sí,
oh,
y hace casi todos los días que utilizo mi español en mi trabajo también.
okay.
Sí,
Qué bueno.
sí, bro. Pero, ok, ¿te gusta la música de Puerto Rico? ¿Qué
Ujú.
más? Dime más. Dime una canción que te gusta, bro.
Um, so ahora yo he sido escuchando el álbum nuevo de Mike Towers y let's see, una canción me gusta. Uh, dice, you got,
No, bro, pero tienes que cantarla, bro. ¿Cómo va?
oh,
Cántala, bro.
I, or you say, what do you say? You say, you like. cuando le beso el cuello, he like, y ahora la llamada, no mire el reloj, no tiene hora de llegada. Y like, empezó a las 3, no dice, empiezo a las 10 hasta las 3 de la mañana. Yeah, me gusta
Mm,
esta canción.
my cowards.
He say, he like, stop there. He like, estoy fumando como Paul Pierce. Come. And then a Bad Bunny su álbum nuevo. He say, voy a llevarte por Ferrer, vamos para que vea cómo te separé. Esa
Eh,
canción. Y yeah, muchas canciones me gustan, me encanta. Y
Está
también
bien, bro.
me gusta usar iTunes y puedo ver las letras y puedo aprender de esa manera también.
Mm,
Ujú.
sí, está bien. Oh,
Sí.
como Apple Music.
Yeah, I like Apple Music, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sí, está bien. Okay, bro. Si no tienes más preguntas o algo que quiero decir, es que me gusta hablar en inglés al final del video para que, no sé, para que te expreses mejor si quieres.
Okay.
So we're gonna switch to English.
All right.
So I got some questions from I got a little Spanish WhatsApp group, and I told them if they had any questions for the guest of the day.
Yeah, like they be like they trying to learn English or they.
No, they're learning Spanish. They're learning
Okay,
Spanish.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So first question, he says, what should the main focus be for a beginner? What did you focus on as a beginner? And do you think what you focused on at the beginning was a mistake?
Um, so okay, I know like well in high school, I remember like I wanted to learn more and I had took some classes in high school too. So I took because you had to do it like as a requirement. And then so by the time I got to like Spanish 3, well, Spanish 1 and 2, I think it was good because I was learning like the basics and then a lot of like vocabulary words, like the main vocabulary words. I think I learned a lot in them two classes. And then by the time I
Hmm.
got to Spanish 3, like my teacher, she was like mainly only speaking in Spanish to us. So then it was kind of like it was harder for me because well, I hadn't really just ever had somebody just talk to me in Spanish like that. So, and then I think at that point, I kind of just really lost inspiration for it to like learn it more. And then,
Hmm.
so like time later, um, somebody had told me, I think this was like after college, and somebody told me about Duolingo. So I started using it, and then I kind of quit. And then, but when I really was like, all right, I'm about to just start doing this again. And I was really like focusing on that. Like, I still got a streak on it, but I've learned that just only using that is not what's really gonna help you because you don't hear the different accents. It mainly kind of just uses like one accent. But at the
Yeah,
same time, it's not necessarily bad because I still have learned a lot. Like I've learned a lot of like phrases, vocabulary, like the structure of things. Um,
yeah,
but I really feel like you got to explore different ways and find like the way that you learn the best. And kind of like, even if you got to try to remember and think how, we even learn English, like we had to start somewhere. But
yeah.
I really think just being around it, hearing it, like reading it, like read books, watch
Yeah,
videos, listen to music, or just be around people that speak it. That's what's really gonna help you. And just even if you don't understand everything, at least getting your ears accustomed with hearing that the flow of it. I think
yeah,
that kind of helps you. And now too that I'm kind of learning too, like learning the structures because it'd be like a lot of different structures that be kind of weird, but then when you kind of think about it more, it kind of start making sense. And you be like, oh, okay.
hmm
Like learning how something structured. Cause I kind of be looking at it too as like it's kind of like a math equation. Like you just
Yeah.
gotta like you put the parts together to equal this thing or whatever.
Yeah, no, facts,
So,
facts. No, I agree with you, man. On my channel, I've talked a lot about Duolingo in a bad way, to be honest. But I
mm,
don't really think Duolingo is bad. I think the bad
yeah,
thing is that people think that they can just use Duolingo and they can just
yeah,
hop off of Duolingo and just be fluent.
yeah, yeah,
To me, it's like watching LeBron James and being like, "Well, I seen him play so much, I could go out there and do the same stuff."
yeah,
It's like, nah, bro, you could use some parts of his game, but you got to go
yeah.
practice them
It's a
though. You're
lot
not
more
gonna
to it than
just,
just
yeah, it's a
that.
lot more to it than just watching it or just getting and watching a YouTube instructional video. This is how you do a crossover. You ain't gonna
Yeah,
just go out there and be hooping like that. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So yeah,
Most
no, I
definitely.
agree with you, man. I agree. The next question is similar actually. Have you ever used AI to learn anything, artificial intelligence? And also, have you paid anyone to have conversations in Spanish?
Um, so it was this one app, I think it was called Lingo Looper, and that I tried to use like probably a few months back. And it was kind of like an interactive like AI type of thing where like you go and it just be a person. It kind of I think it kind of puts you can put yourself at a certain level or I believe, and then you can just kind of talk and they just ask you like kind of it starts out asking you like how your day or how you been, and then it'll get more but then I think too, like you can pick the topic that you're gonna talk about. But I had just started kind of doing like a free topic type deal to just kind of let it
Hmm.
be naturally to somewhere. So I was doing that, and then but my last time when I went to Colombia, and then like I had at the end toward the end of my time there, I found like a class. It was called like Spanish school, and then so
Hmm.
I was like, I want to take some like real classes while I'm in a Latin American country. So I
Yeah.
signed up and luckily, so you had to take like a little pre-test and then to see where they can see where you at, where your level is at. And then so I basically was just like, I just want to have more practice talking. And so I had like a legit teacher and we were just in a little room and for like 2 hours, 2 days, I did it for 2 hours and we just had conversation. And then if I didn't know something, then he had his computer, he would just like look it up and then I could see the translation of it. I could like take
Hmm.
notes. So it was like really good. So I definitely had like I guess well I had to pay for that. So but when I go back again, I'm gonna do it again too because it was just good practice. Like I just loved it.
Yeah.
So
That's good, man. Yeah, I think I've learned the most oh, I know I've learned the most from real conversations. Even if I don't
yeah,
understand something, I
yeah,
keep it in my head and I'll be like, I'm gonna go look that up and like really
yeah.
study, what that is and how to use it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's
It's got a
good. But
different
speaking
effect
of,
like, in the real life, I guess.
yeah, 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 no, facts, facts. But speaking, you just said you had to take a test to see where you were at, and the next question is kind of related to that.
Yeah,
Um, it's really the question is, do you express yourself differently in Spanish? But I'm just gonna twist it a little bit because I'm gonna say, based on the level that you're at,
yeah,
how far do you think you have to go to get your English personality in Spanish? Because I know it's hard to have the same personality in both
yeah.
languages. Because you're like, man, I can't say the funny stuff I would say and whatever, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I've seen people talk about that too, like you kind of have a slightly different personality in other languages. Well, it
Yeah.
was a girl that I think I seen on YouTube, and she was saying like how she speak a lot of different languages, and she was like, you kind of have to have your own personality in that language, and I think that's kind
Hmm.
of true, but at the same time, like not necessarily changing yourself, but I think it's just the way another language flows. You kind of just
Yeah.
naturally will have a slightly different personality, but at the same time, I feel like I still kind of just be myself too. Cause then
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like a goofy person, so I just say
Hmm.
something like goofy or just to kind of
Yeah.
make somebody laugh or whatever. Like I don't know. I feel like I
Yeah. No,
still
I
do
feel
that
you. I
too.
think I think I'm the same way. I think my personality is mainly the same. I think the difference is that sarcasm sarcasm is just what it's way more like well received in English. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So you
yeah,
kind of have to pull it back in another language because you're like they're not even gonna know I'm joking. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So I still find ways to be sarcastic, but
Yeah,
obviously I got 30 plus years speaking English and I got
yeah,
5 or 6 years speaking Spanish. So I'm like, you know what? Like this subtlety might not work. So, you know, I
yeah,
could I
yeah.
could I could say some high level jokes in English and I'd be like, nah, I ain't gonna risk it in Spanish. I ain't gonna do it. They're gonna call the cops on me, bro.
I know.
So um let's see, what is this last question? Oh, this is kind of tough. I guess the question is I guess the question is really has Spanish changed you? You kind of just said it didn't, but basically it's asking, is the setup of the language making you think about anything differently? Maybe we can even say, has any of your cultural experiences in Medellin or whatever, has that changed the way you thought about anything? Has it, maybe rewired your brain or something?
Uh,
That's a tough question.
yeah, that is kind of tough, or just kind of like make you think a little bit. Like make well, what they mean, kind of like change, like what the way you see things, or just or like
Yeah,
different.
I'll give you an example of mine. The first thing in Spanish that made me kind of reflect uh was like the structure of like dropping something, right? Like, oh, se me cayó el vaso or something like that,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like it fell from me. I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Like in English, like we have to say like you dropped that. You know what I mean? It's like a
yeah,
blame thing almost. Everything in English is real super, super personal. So that's
yeah,
why, sometimes you get in an argument, someone be like, oh, you forgot this. And it's like, I didn't forget, bro. Like I had so much stuff going on. And I'm like,
yeah.
that's real interesting, man. English is real self-centered, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and maybe certain things in Spanish a little more subtle, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. So that was the first thing that made me really reflect, like the whole accidental say. Like I'm like, we don't really have a way of doing that in English. Like
yeah,
you could say my keys dropped.
yeah,
But it's like that don't feel right. It's like,
yeah.
nah, you dropped the keys, bro. You dropped them.
Well, I think, well, I can't say like I have realized how well I know in English we can use one word or one saying phrase and it can mean a bunch of different things. But then
Mhm.
in Spanish it'd be kind of different, but then certain things do have like more than one meaning too. But I guess it depends on how you say it too. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, no. I teach English too. Um, so I get to have like these interactions in both languages, and
Yeah,
a lot of my Spanish speaking English learning students will make me realize some of our expressions are crazy, or some of our
yeah.
expressions have multiple meanings. Cause like, um, let me think of one. All right, so like the example, I mean the sentence like saying besides, right?
Hmm.
For us, besides can mean including or excluding. Like I can say um besides Chad, who else is hungry? You know what I mean? That means you're hungry. I want to know who else is hungry. And I
Yeah.
can also say like besides Chad, everybody else is going. That means you're not going. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But you can't look up besides. If you just look up besides in Google and get a Spanish translation, it's gonna say, you know, además de and aparte de, and which is
Yeah.
two separate structures. And so,
Mhm.
yeah,
Or
that's we.
a pesar de is another one I think.
hmm Yeah, exactly. So we could have something that covers five different things, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
five different things in Spanish, and vice
Yeah.
versa. Like you said, it could be the same thing. Like, oh, this word in Spanish covers all 20 of these things, but in
Yeah.
English, it's not gonna work like that. So,
Yeah. And I've realized too, another thing that's hard for people like the Spanish speakers that's trying to learn English is like our we don't have no consistency in like the way we pronounce things like it is in
mhm.
Spanish. So it's harder for
Yeah,
them. So like for example, like here, like you could be talking about here in the now or like hearing with your ears. It sounds
yeah,
exactly the same, but it depends on the context. But then I
man.
learned too that like you can't even in Spanish, you can't just look. Sometimes you can look up a certain word, but then sometimes you got to start learning the context because depending on the context, it might be a completely different structure or a different phrase.
Yeah,
So
yeah, bro.
crazy.
It's really a pain trying to teach English pronunciation because I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. You could say it that way if you want to, because people in Kansas might say it like that, or people in New York might
yeah,
say it like that. Like I can't
yeah,
tell you it's wrong. That's just not how I pronounce it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I'm from, where you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
Okay, well, I mean, oh, my phone vibrating. Yeah, so I mean, you know, because technically, North Carolina is the South, but like in the
Yeah,
deep South, we don't say here, we say her, we say
yeah,
her. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So like, my students be like, I thought it was pronounced here, and I'm like, it is.
That's
Like
the proper
you
way to
just,
say it, like
yeah,
grammatically correct, but
yeah,
people
but
really ain't
it's
gonna say it
like,
like that. But Spanish
yeah,
the same way too, though, I think.
kinda, but that's the thing. In Spanish, at least everyone is mainly going to pronounce the vowels the same way. You know what I'm saying? Um, because you're supposed to. In
But
English, it's not like that. Because you can
but
say
like,
data or you can say data, and they're both
yeah,
correct.
yeah, that's true. But I was gonna say, like, like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, they be shortening a lot of stuff. But at the same time,
Yeah,
we kind of do too. Well, I feel like I guess we know us being like black people, whatever, and we kind of
hmm,
like create slang and we shorten things too. We don't say words fully, or they say
yeah, yeah, yeah.
phonics. But
To me that's a little bit different because that's
yeah,
not just Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. The more you listen, the more you'll see that it's really just I'm gonna say it's an urban thing. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, maybe
just
that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's normal. The
yeah,
faster you talk, like even in Colombia, you know what I mean? They don't
yeah.
say though, they say ow, estoy
Mhm.
cansado. But that's not
They take the D
that's
out.
not yeah, that's not changing the actual vowels. It's the same thing in English,
Oh yeah, that's true.
nobody's gonna say like what the hell are you talking about? We don't talk about that.
Yeah,
They say, hey, you talking about? What you
yeah,
what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
yeah,
When you're a natural native speaker, you just put everything together because you know the person understands you. You know what I
yeah,
mean? What
yeah.
are you
That's
talking
true.
about? So that is the difficult part though. That's the difficult part
Yeah,
about learning a language.
yeah,
If you're listening to native speakers, you won't even catch everything they're saying because they don't have to
yeah,
say everything. They just put it
yeah,
all sandwich it up,
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, man, I love language. I love talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
me
love
too. And I was trying to
exploring it.
learn some other ones too. Like I was trying to learn French. I tried Italian.
Hell
Um,
nah. You can have that, bro. So
just because I
let
like
me
the
ask you
sound of it.
this. Let me ask you this then. Are you still learning those or did you stop?
Nah, I stopped. Just
Okay,
because
this is this
it
is
started
this
being
is
too
good.
much.
Okay, I was about to say this is good because actually I didn't even write it down, but somebody in the group basically said, what do you do to hold yourself accountable and what do you do to keep going? And I
Yeah.
told them I already know that you post the lessons of the day, so I know you
Yeah.
must do that. But what made you keep going with Spanish and what made you stop French and Italian? Because that could be important for
Um,
somebody like, maybe this is what I need to motivate myself.
yeah. Well, I started learning the other languages because, well, like I say, language in general just interests me. And because I even done like even in college, I took like programming classes, and that's another
Hmm.
language in itself too.
Yeah, it is.
And then so I just always had an interest kind of like in language. And even when I think back on it, like I remember my in high school, my English teacher, she was like, "Oh, you should take like, like the AP English." But in that time, I was like I ain't trying to take that. Like, I ain't want to do that. And when I reflect back on it, I was like, dang, maybe I should have. But but it was just, I think it was just because I always had a desire for language, and but then at the same time, when I was using Duolingo, well, I still use Duolingo, but I was kind of just starting to get a little bit bored with like they're learning just Spanish, and then so I was like, let me
Mm,
just explore some other ones just to kind of keep the balance. But then I think it just started kind of being a lot because you gotta like try to focus on their structure and then try to go back and learn this. And then I ended up meeting this one dude my last time when I was in Colombia, and he knew how to speak like 5 different languages. Like he was a black dude too.
mhm,
But he told me, and I was asking him how he did it, but he was like, he learned them kind of like in different periods of time. So it wasn't
mhm.
like he was putting it all together. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, that could be something too. And then I was just like, maybe I could go back and still try to learn some other languages, but just in different time periods. So,
So what keeps you going with Spanish then? Because like clearly your
because I just
motivation wasn't good
because
enough for French and Italian.
because I just still like I say, my goal to be fluent in Spanish. Like
Mhm.
I just I want to be as fluent in Spanish as I am in English. Like that's
That's
my
a tough
my
goal.
overall goal. So
That's a that's a tough goal, bro.
yeah, it is.
You
It's
know,
definitely challenging.
I'm gonna ask you a question after I say this, but I'll tell you first that my goals in Spanish have changed a lot. My definition of fluency has changed a lot. I used to say that I wanted to be kind of the same thing. I said I want to express myself as well as I do in English
Yeah,
as in Spanish. But the problem with that is, like I said, I've been speaking English for 30 plus years. I just turned
yeah,
33. I went to college. I keep reading in English, so I keep elevating my English. And
yeah,
so if it's like this, if my Spanish is here, if I do this,
yeah. It's
I'm
still
never
no
gonna be
matter
able
what you
to
do.
express.
Yeah,
Yeah, unless I just stop speaking English and I just only speak Spanish the rest of my life, I'm
yeah,
never gonna catch up. So I'm always gonna
that's true.
feel that deficit. You know what I'm saying? And I don't
Yeah,
think I need to. I think I do consider myself fluent in Spanish, but I feel like I could, if anybody walked up to me right now and they wanted to talk to me about something in my life, as long as it's not rocket science or something that I
yeah,
don't do, if they want to talk to me about something in my life, in my daily life, we could sit down and we could have a conversation. So I would say
yeah.
I'm fluent. So what's your definition of fluency?
Um, like, well, I think like you said, it's kind of probably done changed too. Because I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't even have people or I seen like people comment, and say like, oh, I want to be as fluent as you one day. But then
Hmm.
really, I feel like I ain't even really fluent or as fluent as I want to be. And
Hmm.
but I think, like you say, really, as long as you can like have like a conversation with somebody, like even if it's just basic, but you can express what you're trying to say and they can understand you and they express what they saying and you can understand them, then that's really fluency right there in itself. That's all is necessary.
Yeah, I think for me, like fluency and saying that you're like super high level, they're not the same thing to me. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't think they need to be. I think as long as you don't put a label on it and say like I'm university level or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that, it's
yeah,
like, well, yeah, you just think fluent in this. I think it's that, whatever. I can have a conversation. That's all that matters. But that's why I usually don't
yeah.
even say I'm fluent. I just be like, I
Yeah,
can
me
speak
too, but I
Spanish.
don't
I
even
can
want to
speak
really want to say
English. Yeah.
that.
Yeah, literally just say I can speak Spanish because that's not debatable. You
And
know what I
then
mean?
like even like in English, it's still a lot of stuff that we don't know. Like it's still
Yeah,
big words that we don't know. Like, but at the same
yeah,
time, just because we don't know them, that don't mean we're not fluent in English or whatever.
yeah, exactly, exactly, bro, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, my Spanish speaking students that are learning English, because Spanish is like so similar to Old English,
yeah,
sometimes they will know like some super high level vocabulary word and they say that in English and I'm like, that sounds right. I ain't never heard it before, but I'm like, it's probably
but
it's
the
probably
crazy thing
correct.
is, I've kind of been like learning some new English words through Spanish.
Oh yeah, I do every day, bro.
Like,
Yeah.
for example, like the word astuto is
Astute.
like
Yeah.
astute. So I
Uh-huh.
learned that
Yeah.
word. I'm like, oh snap.
I actually had to take like a Latin class
Yeah.
when I was younger, and also like I'm a professional strength and conditioning coach, so a lot of like anatomy terms and stuff, they're
Yeah.
based on Latin. So a lot of stuff um I learned in school and I see it in Spanish and I'm like, oh, okay, like masticar is chew, but like that's
Yeah.
masticate in English, you know what I mean? Like it's like I
Oh,
knew
yeah.
that word.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff like that. But that's what I mean. My
Yeah.
Spanish speaking students they'll do something like that. They'll type masticar in Google or something, and they'll say masticate, and they'll say, "Oh, I was masticating my food," and I'm like, "That's
That ain't real.
right,"
Say real.
but nobody would ever say that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, hey, you're not wrong, but
Yeah.
it's not something that native speakers would ever say. Like,
Yeah.
so that's the tough part about using translators and stuff like that. That's why I
Yeah.
tell people like just go out and talk to people, bro. Just learn
Yeah.
the common way of saying stuff because you never
Yeah.
know when you're
Mhm.
using an app or something. That might be a word nobody uses, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you got anything else you want to touch on, bro?
I don't think so. This is
All
dope.
right, man. I'm gonna link. I'm gonna put your TikTok in the description of the video, so if
Okay,
people want to
appreciate it.
follow you and get those lessons of the day. I don't know
I
what I'm gonna
appreciate it.
title the video yet. I think I'm a.
So
What
you
should I
gonna like
title
post
the
this?
video?
You gonna post this on your TikTok?
I'm posted on my YouTube.
Oh, on your YouTube. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
and then I'll put the link for your TikTok there, so whoever got
Mhm.
TikTok and want to follow you or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, what should I title the video, bro? What's an interesting title?
Like what normally be your titles or what you kind of normally come?
Man, I just base it off of something we touched on in the conversation. Maybe I'm gonna say how using TikTok to hold yourself accountable or using social media to hold yourself accountable in your language learning. That might get some people's attention.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you think of something better, just shoot me that message
All right.
and then yeah, you might have a better title than me. I just be making stuff up, bro.
Nah, I be winging stuff too, like whatever feels right.
Yeah, bro. So I'm gonna upload this today. I'll shoot you the link if you want to just watch it or whatever. And then
Okay. All right, that's what's up.
and like I said, man, I got a WhatsApp group with a
Yeah.
bunch of people that are learning Spanish up in there. I just tell them like, you know, any questions they have, bring it up in the group, and what I mean, if
Okay.
I can't resolve it, then I ask one of my friends that are natives.
Yeah.
But we always inviting more people up in there, man, and
All right.
just
Well,
trying to have like a community.
I'll put my number in there, or I send you my number, because I got like WhatsApp too. So,
All right, man. I'm gonna
um,
add you to the group.
I appreciate that. This is dope.
All right, bro. Peace. Thank you
All
for
right,
doing the
now.
video.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna holler at you.
All right.